This is the UC Hunting Properties Podcast, your home for all things recreational land. Our goal, to help you stand on your investment. Hey guys, welcome back to the UC Hunting Properties Podcast. As always, don't forget to hit the like, share, comment. We want your engagement. We appreciate you listening, and we're going to keep hammering forward. As many of you are very aware, when we made the announcement at the UC National Convention earlier this year that we had a new branding partner or new marketing partner, I guess, of sorts, one of the biggest names in the outdoor industry, not just for archery, but in general. These guys are pretty iconic. Today's special guest is Evan Williams. He's the marketing and pro staff manager at Hoyt Archery. So super stoked to have you on. Welcome to the podcast, Evan.
Hey, how's it going, Curt? Yeah, sorry I missed an early recording opportunity we had, but schedules finally aligned, and couldn't be happier to be sitting down and having an actual recorded conversation versus you and I just shooting it on the phone trying to figure some things out. So,
Evan, you obviously decorated bow hunter, archer, master bow tech, and probably most importantly, husband and father. But give us just a little bit about you, because I mean, obviously, you have very quickly become one of our main contacts back to the mothership there at Hoyt. So, who is Evan Williams? Give us a little tidbit.
just honestly, just a very, very lucky person that was the right place, the right time. Um, that came from Northwest Kansas. I grew up in a hometown of under 3,000 people, had 43 in my graduating class in high school, and was very fortunate to be athletically inclined with a smaller class, and had some really, really fun opportunities, and picked up competitive rifle shooting. That took me to the University of Missouri, Kansas City, where I had a full athletic scholarship and competed there through a fifth year senior degree, and got my degree in math and statistics, and had an opportunity to move out to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs and really pursue what was my Olympic dream. And did that for a number of years, and through college being a collegiate All-American, and just falling short
So,
of.
just full disclaimer, you're kind of a
No, no,
badass
no, no. Just a random Joe Blow kid. So
that can shoot you from a long
so
distance.
yep,
But yeah,
yeah.
who's
But it
counting?
was, it was an experience that allowed me to meet a lot of different people from all over the world, and get to experience some things at a very young age that not a lot of people get to. And I really attribute that to a lot of my early success when I finally retired from rifle shooting, and I had started working in a pro shop. I had met so many different people and had so many face to face interactions, and growing up in a small town community, it was you look people in the eye. Everything is done on a handshake agreement, and your word is your bond. And I really took that to heart, especially when it came to a consumer sales, you know, retail type situation, and had a lot of success with the shop I was at, with it being owned by a 13-time world champion archer. So when you have someone that is at that skill level training you and teaching you, and you're having those interactions, and you're working on 90% of the bows that are in the industry, I feel like I got very good from the technical side, in being able to fix and tune and repair, and know the little ins and outs of this company versus that company. And I think our sales rep saw that in me at a very early onset in that shop, and brought me onto his area staff. So I was shooting Hoyt back in 2007, is when my brother actually turned me on to bow hunting. And at the time I was doing 50 hours a week in the range behind my guns, getting ready for, at the time it was the world championship tryouts. And I was literally to the point where I was training so much that I would go to class, I would go train all day. I'd get back into my dorm room where I was an RA, and I would just put my books aside, and I literally was looking at pictures, and I was looking at video from training sessions, and I was working with one of my buddies that was already on an Olympic team, and we're critiquing positions, and we're doing so much of the technical stuff that I was like, I should probably put some of this down and focus on my studies and figure a way to deload and decompress. And my senior year went home for Thanksgiving break, and my brother had fixed up my dad's old bow, which was a 1988 Hoyt Rambo. And he's like, "Hey, I fixed up dad's bow. Let's go out in the yard and let's just get you, a 20, 30, 40 pin." And he goes, "We need to just go out. Like, let's just go hunt. It's an over-the-counter license for us, being residents." And I was like, "You know what? I need something to just get my mind off of everything." And shot my first whitetail buck right after Thanksgiving. And dude, I was hooked. Within 2 months, I had upgraded, bought a flagship model bow, and hit the ground running. When I moved out to Colorado Springs to start training at the OTC, walked in the local pro shop, got a job, and then I was there for almost 10 years until the opportunity to come to Salt Lake City and work for Hoyt had presented itself.
I don't know how you pulled off growing up in Northwest Kansas and not chasing whitetails as a kid, to be
So I
honest.
grew up far enough on the western side of the state that we literally lived on that line break between whitetail and mule deer country. So I remember the first full year that we had lived in Kansas, because we moved down out of Nebraska in basically December of 90 95 or 96. And
Okay.
so we were already past the Kansas rifle seasons by the time we actually got down there and settled and all that. So, Dad had done a rifle tag in Nebraska because they have the November rifles rut tags, but Kansas has that first week of December. So by the time we got down to Kansas and he had accepted that new job, they had already passed their rifle season. So the next year when it came up, of course, dad got his tag. And I remember the day walking home from school because it was opening morning, which was on a Wednesday that year. And when you leave the school, we went across the track, and it was a dirt track. We didn't even have a good, anything. And because the town we lived in was 200 people at that time, and went through the neighbor's backyard down onto the street, and two houses down go up our driveway, and dad's yellow truck was sitting in the driveway, and it was backed in. And he only ever backed in when he had to unload something in the garage. And if he had to unload something in the garage during deer season, you knew what it was.
You knew it was.
And
Right, right.
as we start coming up the drive, all I see is rack hanging out of the bed of the truck. And I'm like, holy crap. Because, growing up in Nebraska in the, late 80s and early 90s, dude, you weren't seeing deer like that. You were seeing 100, 110-inch deer. And when you stand on a tire and peer over the bed of a truck, and you come eye to eye with a 181-inch mule deer that's a typical 3x4,
Oh,
it's
wow.
just I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be hunting mule deer because I love this. They get big, and
And it's hard to explain that frame. I mean, when you rattle off that it was a 3x4, but cranking into the 180s, I mean, it takes a lot of frame to
it
get
does.
one there.
And to put that into perspective, if you measure, so his inside spread is 26 inches. From the
Mhm.
base of his skull to the topmost point on his head is almost 30 inches. It is unbelievable. I mean, and it is still like I when I look at a typical framed mule deer, that is the only deer I compare it to. And
Yeah, you're basing
and
it off
that's it.
that. Yep.
Like that is my true vision of perfection. And it's the
That's
first
cool.
first mule deer my dad ever shot. So, and I
Is it the biggest he's ever shot to
to
this
this day.
day?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I've
That's cool.
I've been able to top it score wise, but in my opinion, frame wise, nowhere near it. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's kinda like an 8 pointer in the whitetail world, right? Guys throw out that they shot 100 and whatever, 63-inch 8 pointer, and
it's
I instantly go,
yeah,
"Holy," like, that's
yeah,
giant.
yeah, and
Yeah, and it has to come through frame because they don't have the points,
mhm,
but, um, dude, appreciate the background on that, Evan. Like I said, I mean, I knew you had a pretty diverse background in how you ended up landing at Hoyt and stuff. It's like it truly is meant to be, but you're you've been there now over a decade, right?
September will be 10 years. Yep. Yep.
Okay. And what have your rotations been through Hoyt?
Mm. So
I mean, I know you didn't fall out of bed the marketing and pro staff
I'm
manager, but
literally almost. So I was initially hired on for business development, PR, and events coordinator.
yep,
And so I was doing a lot of the industry connections, industry partner work. And 6 months after I had gotten here, our overall pro staff manager, so it was hunting and target, he
sure,
gave his notice and he went to go take a job with mountain ops. And so I was brought into
okay.
that role after 6 months being with the company.
Was that
Yep.
Matt Davis
Yep.
just by
Yep. It
chance?
was.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I know Matt pretty
Yeah.
well. Yep,
So, and Matt was one of the guys I worked with when I was in the shop through customer service. So, Matt and I had a really, really good friendship, and it still goes to this day. And I don't envy the job that he put on my plate. I'll say that some days, but especially being, I knew a lot of the names on the pro staff just from being in the shop
sure.
and being around both target and hunting. Um, But when you are now having these face-to-face and phone call conversations and continual contact, it's just like I am so overwhelmed as a 31-year-old kid from Northwest Kansas that has gotten thrust into this role and
Sure.
just being awestruck, and not just
Yeah.
from the pro staff side. If I could walk you through my interview with Mike Looper, who was our VP of sales and marketing at the time, and Jeremy Eldridge. Jeremy still laughs at me to this day. Like, the only reason I got this job was because Jeremy called a buddy in Colorado that had known me for over 10 years at the time, and is like, "Don't
Sure.
take that." Like you're talking to a 30-year-old kid essentially, right? That you called on a Monday and you had him flying out to you on a Wednesday morning for an interview. He has no
Right.
clue what's going on, and even to this day, like Jeremy is one of my idols. I've known Jeremy for over 20 years in the industry, and
The dude
and
is a
and for
class
me
act.
to be able to lean back in my office chair and look out my window, and Jeremy's office is right there, and I'm working with him on a daily basis. It's like I you walk in for 10 years and you're awestruck still. So,
That's funny. That's awesome. That's awesome. I actually just watched Jeremy was up somewhere in Canada moose
mm,
hunting or something or at a moose camp and happened to come across it on
he
YouTube.
was
It's pretty
with
cool.
uh Keith Beasley with Canada in the Rough up in Newfoundland.
That's exactly
Yep.
what it was. Yep, that's exactly what it was. No, it was a cool show, but yeah, Jeremy's good people. I've known Jeremy forever. I mean, like 20-ish years ago, I'm going to say. I was flying into Salt Lake for a work engagement, and I had
Mhm.
pinged him. 'Cause same thing, my ties were all through, I don't know, I hate to say pro staff, but, like, at the time, that's
Yep.
what it was,
Yep.
right? Jeremy came, picked me up, took me on a private tour through Hoyt and stuff, and truthfully, ever since, I've been blown away. Because but great guy, and it's awesome that, you got people like that there at Hoyt, and, that's where I was gonna go with this, Matt, is the Hoyt culture. I feel like I understand it because I've been around it for a long time, in multiple
Mhm.
facets, right? The pro staff stuff was one thing, but having an archery shop and having that background and coming through, the Hoyt Academy or whatever the formal training you guys offered, very impressive. And going through
Mhm.
Easton, the I guess sister company for lack of
Yep.
a better term, but your guys' culture is cool, and it's been that way for a long time. But as a archery junkie myself, or self-proclaimed archery junkie, I guess, the one thing that always stood out to me with Hoyt, and like I said, you guys are now crowding in on the 100-year mark. Of course, United Country just hit it this year. We're celebrating it
There you
this
go.
year. So,
Congratulations.
number one, kudos to yeah, thank you. That's a big milestone, and I don't care what industry you're in. If you're doing something for 100 years in the same
Mhm.
vertical, that speaks volumes to not just the company and the principles, but probably the culture around or in that company. And I've always felt that with Hoyt. But uh, I'm curious. I mean, back in the day, it was always almost like a bragging board because Hoyt had so many patents in the industry, and an outsider may not fully appreciate or understand that, but having been in the industry, it is dominated by patents. And I mean, there's only so many things you can do different or innovative or whatever. And somehow, some way, you guys keep leading the charge on
Yep.
that.
And it's definitely something we're extremely proud of. If you ever get the opportunity to come out, guys, call our main line. Get a hold of our customer service team. We are available for tours. We would love to get you guys to come in and take a look at us. We have a very small window throughout the year where we do shut those tour options down because of new product coming through. But when you come in and you walk down the first main hall, you've got a big corporate boardroom on your right hand side, but the left hand side is what we call the wall of patents. And it is every original Hoyt patent that has ever been created. And they date back to 1958. And it is, when I give tours, I literally just say this is the history of the modern bow in original Hoyt patents. It's strings, limbs, cams, sights, grips, string stops, stabilizers, field points. Like if you can imagine any aspect of equipment on your bow, there is an original Hoyt patent on part of that equipment at some point in history, recurve or compound.
Well, I was going to ask about that, Evan. I mean, as a percentage, I mean, could Hoyt take credit for 85% of what's in existence, from an original patent perspective, or do you even know?
I don't know what the number would be,
I know it's high.
and as a statistician, I like to say 86% of all statistics are made up anyway. So,
That's a good one too.
if you've ever dealt with numbers, you'll understand that because again, as a statistician, I pulled a number out of where you can guess.
Sure.
Um, I believe that at some point there is a patent for everything on a bow that yes, you could find with Hoyt. Original steel cables, got it. The new string type materials that got replaced by, right?
Right.
That's a Hoyt. So that revolutionary patent is originally Hoyt. So I think every aspect of it has a tie, with small tweaks and exceptions on solo cam versus binary versus cam and a half. Like there's things, but again, cam patents, we have original cam patents, and that started everything. So yes, even a solo cam technology that is not a patent of Hoyt's can date its predecessor back to an original Hoyt cam patent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
you
figured
know,
it would be, to your point, let's call it 86%.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's impressive when you walk down and you literally are walking for a long ways and there's plaques of patent after patent after patent after patent. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And I got to assume your engineers are probably always trying to push the thresholds or find the next greatest thing and be able to, put your guys' stamp on it.
Yeah, and we've actually have an in-house attorney now. So we've always had IP attorneys on retainer,
Hmm.
and we were very fortunate that a number of years ago we had a gentleman who was working on the production floor, putting himself through school,
Cool.
getting his pre-law degree. He goes off and gets his law degree and then goes and gets his engineering degree or vice versa, um, but became an IP or intellectual patent attorney, worked with our IP attorneys group, and now we have hired him full time in house.
Wow.
So yeah, it's something that we have archineers on the engineering side, and we have archery smart guys, lawyers that are all working in house for us because of the pride that we take in the development and the process of design and engineering and creation. So
Well, and that is cool because I think a lot of the general public would think of a Hoyt size company in this industry and think of this giant, massive corporation. And the reality is, I mean, it's a pretty small community, right? Like the
mm,
outdoor
yep,
industry is tiny compared to most. And then you go whittle it down even further into archery. I would jokingly call you guys like a big small company, right? Like
yep,
you're not a
yep,
rounding error to an S&P 500, but in our vertical, you're giant. You're one
yep.
of the monsters.
Yep, and our facility's 100,000 square feet, which when you say it like that, it sounds large, but when you've got all of your different manufacturing processes, compound limbs, recurve limbs, string production, accessories. You've got a machine shop for all your aluminum stuff. You've got all your carbon and aluminum testing.
Yeah.
You've got maintenance. You've got special R&D engineering areas. You have an engineering lab. You have marketing, like it whittles down 100,000 square feet very, very
Yeah.
quickly. And then uh, typically I would say we're right around 200, 210 employees, and that's it, with a lot of hands on when it comes to the production and the assembly process.
Mhm.
We do have some robotics now, but we've got six, seven, eight. I think we're at 9 total robotics that we can, have 4 different people trained on, so that if someone wants to take a break or if we need to move them to another area, like you've got the cross training, we can move personnel as we need to, and those robotics are up and running, and we're not costing jobs, we're creating more because of how we utilize our employee base.
Yeah, yeah, being efficient. That totally makes sense. But no, I would love to organize a group from UC hunting properties and get out and tour with you guys. I actually I think that's something we'll push forward to. But
Yep.
um something that's cool right now, you guys kicked out a YouTube video here a couple days ago, uh legitimately torture testing the Hoyt bows and kind of the protocols you're taking things through to make them the safest in the industry. Uh,
Mhm.
let's touch on that, man. I remember back in the original carbon bow days. I think it was Kevin Wilkie at the time, but you guys literally had him like run a Hoyt carbon bow over with his pickup and like not just run it over, but like hammer on the gas and shoot it out the back. I mean, it was
Oh,
intense.
we did everything possibly that we could think of with a truck on that boat to destroy it.
Yeah,
And it was the original 2010 Matrix. So it was, Wilkie was in there, Mike Looper, Jeremy Eldridge, JT Felt was one of the main engineers behind it, Don Wazalewski from engineering. And, aside from 2 of the people that were involved in that whole process, they're all still here.
yeah, yeah.
So, and that was basically 16 years ago at this point.
How did
So,
so I mean the your guys' claim to fame's always been the 1,500 dry fires, but like how was that ever set as the precedent? Like, hey, we're gonna dry fire these things 1,500 times. Like, why did you land on 1,500, or what's the story behind it?
as far as the 1,500 number goes, I don't know how they landed on that number, but our testing process really came from an internal look at the industry from a safety standpoint. Back in the day with the start of the magnesium risers and a lot of the start of the alloys materials, um, guys were drawing back bows and you were seeing complete failures at the grip. So bows were breaking in half around grips and coming back, and it just became a very dangerous situation very quickly. And so we wanted to ensure that our bows were over engineered for our consumers and the public safety. And so, we developed the 1,500 dry fire test and the million cycle test. And the 1,500 dry fire is a number that we have set for testing our risers. Limbs go through 1,000, but everything goes through the million cycles. Even on the recurve side, they have to pass those same standards. And again, it's straight up for safety. If we get to 1,499 and we do that inspection and we find a microfracture somewhere in that riser, we kick it out. We go back to our drawings, redesign, retweak, make some
Tweak
adjustments,
something,
and
yeah.
then again, we've got machine shop dedicated just to engineering. So they go cut a new riser and they pop it in, and all right, let's go. We have to hit 1,500. If it doesn't hit it, you'll never see that riser go to production. And so if that's 13 riser iterations or 27, it doesn't matter. You're not going to see one that doesn't pass those standards.
And I just can't even imagine like when you guys started into the carbon, with that being at the time, I mean, dude, that was like aerospace crazy, right? Like it was
Mhm.
super technical. And I can't imagine with the cost of just adapting a process like that and then taking it to that level of scrutiny. But I mean, obviously it's work. That thing's still
Yeah.
considered the crown jewel.
And really the first carbon that we designed in 2010 in the Matrix, that was a 5-year process. It was 4 years in R&D just to get to the point where Don, who was our carbon lead on that, said, "Okay, I have everything set. I have all of our parameters. I have all of our initial testing done. These are the safety factors. Here is your carbon riser after 4 years. Now, production, go take it over. You have 1 year to put that sucker into the market.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had to run with it.
Well, the rest is pretty much history. I would say that.
Yep. Yep.
On that note, that's what I was going to ask too. Because I mean, I love the industry insight from you, Evan. But like even industry direction, I mean, it seems like if I rewind back to 15 years ago when I was in like the heyday of I guess archery is how I would look at it, or at least for me personally,
Hmm.
it did seem like back then there was this huge emphasis on target archery, and Hoyt forever has been known kind of as the leader in that space. But as we've went, it seems like now it's almost I think it's almost entirely flip flop to more of the bow hunting side, and obviously that's where my passion lies. But um, talk to me as an insider on that. I mean, hunting versus target, the kind of the emphasis, you as a big manufacturer, like where are you guys looking at it as far as industry direction?
Yeah, and I think it depends on the specific market we're going to look at to an extent. When you look at European countries, very, very target focused. When you look at bow hunting opportunities overseas, you've got France, Spain, Norway, Finland, and just a handful of other countries. Where in the U.S. it's all 50 states.
Yeah,
You've got Canada, you've got Mexico. You can go down to South America. So I think you have a lot more hunting opportunities, obviously, in the states. I would say a larger part of our business is on the hunting market versus the target, but absolutely, there's a huge emphasis put on the target side because if your bows could shoot with the amount of accuracy needed to win target tournaments, then absolutely, if you can design that, then you can build a hunting bow.
yeah,
And so that was a very, very big push, and I think that shift that we've seen where we're seeing more numbers on the hunting side even now over the last couple of years is really due to the COVID outbreak. Social distance and space. Well, when you couldn't find certain things at a grocery store, or you're telling me to go and get away from people, okay, I know how to do it. I'm going to pick up a bow and I can now go and hunt. Basically, if I have the ability to move around, your seasons start in July in California. So I can go July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. And guess what? Now I'm already March and I'm down in the southern peninsula of Florida hunting turkeys.
yeah,
So literally I'm hunting 12 months out of the year somewhere.
yeah. Isolated. I like it.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
it's been fun to see, kind of the whole thing come like full circle. And even like I look now today or whatever, and it seems like it's I guess I'm going to say big influencers, and I, for lack of a better term, I'm kind of putting us in that bucket, right? We're not
Mhm.
directly in the hunting industry, but all of our members, our agents, our brokers, I mean, they're specialists, they're land specialists, right?
Yep.
And when these conversations started with Jeremy and Tom, some of my old buddies, industry connections, um, to this day, I feel very blessed that Hoyt picked us,
Yep.
and I didn't know, Evan, like when you're a huge part of that decision making criteria, but like what drives that? I look at you guys and I go, man, they got like the likes of Joe Rogan and Cam Haynes and Michael Waddell, and now they're working with working class bow hunter, and Midwest Whitetail's always been a Hoyt house. Like I don't even like what's the minutia in that? Like, is it where do we go from here? I mean, I
Yep.
why us?
And
Why now? What's next? You know what I mean?
yep. And a lot of those decisions are driven by, in my opinion, one thing. It is expertise and knowledge in your field of specialty.
Yeah,
Because if you like your agents are specialists when it comes to land management and real estate
yep,
and how to build a hunting property with a consumer that man, I just bought this 260-acre dream farm. Now what do I do with it?
yeah. Now what?
Okay. Okay. Well, the guy that sold it to you, that's his job.
Yeah,
Like, hey, we're a land consultant company. Like, we're going to help you build and develop that property to produce the best genetics and the best age class deer that we can. Because when you succeed, we succeed.
absolutely.
and that's what it comes down to. And you can have that same conversation about, the big box store, right? Okay. Hoyt sells in Shields, but not Bass Pro, not Cabela's, not Sportsman's Warehouse, because of the level of expertise and training that Shields takes to train their people on the products and the partners that they work with.
Yeah.
So it's about that knowledge base. How much do you know about what you're doing and what you're using?
Yeah, if you're a subject matter expert, you're a subject matter expert. Yeah.
Yep.
No, we're like I said, we're stoked to be working with you guys, and we announced this at convention. And like I said, it was met with a pretty massive applause. So, I was over in the corner going, "Yeah, this worked the way it was supposed to." But,
Good.
um,
Glad to hear it.
yeah, I mean, and I don't know where we go from here. I mean, like I said, Evan, I've told you a hundred times, like our goals to drive whatever influence we can for you guys, and vice versa. You guys are such a big name in the outdoor space. We're just happy to be partnered with you. So,
Well, and we're definitely appreciative of everything that you guys do and the hard work you put forth. And again, it's a partnership that we look forward to having for a lot of years. And again, it's one that, in the short time we've had this, back. Um, I feel like it's been one of the best communications, and it's just one of those that we're here to work with you guys, and I know you guys are there to do the same for us. So, yep. When it comes down to the mutual respect aspect, that's really easy to have a very good relationship.
I appreciate you saying that, man. Right back at you. But okay, now I got to put you on the spot, Evan. I know it's the top secret squirrel stuff and all that goes into the new bow release, but obviously every year Hoyt's coming with something new,
Mhm.
or things that are new in general, in moving the needle in the industry. What can you at least give us for tidbits on what 26 is going to look like?
Well, we'll have new carbons and new aluminums.
Shocker! I can't believe it.
Yeah, and I have a very vague knowledge right now of things that are on the engineer's plates from a we want to attack and we want to address, this list. What it
Yeah,
then comes down to is if there's 15 things on that list, okay, let's go and we're going to sit down and let's build this on priority 1 through
let's
15.
let's nail this, and this,
Yeah,
right?
and again, it's what can we get done? Can we get all 15 done? Do we need to plan a 2 or 3 or 5-year cycle on this, and where do we go? So, I know a couple things that are on that list. I just don't know what all they're going to be able to address in the timeline. Because again, we have one of the broadest engineering teams in the industry on the manufacturing bow side.
Sure.
We have a maintenance and mechanical team that basically keeps us up and running. They design different machines for different specific building and application processes within our own facility. That's one whole aspect. Then I have an R&D team that they're looking at new materials, new potential developments, new ways to build bows, new ways to implement string applications and string materials, and how to build them and how to do all these different things on that aspect, and what can we find as a project and take it to the point where it's a yes, and then turn it over to production. So the production engineering team, they only get to have a project for a few months. In the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things, it's not even a full year that they have to take something that has come in from R&D or from a previous project, and they have basically 10 months to put it on marketing's plate and say, here you go, here's what you get to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it is crazy that it happens that fast. I mean, I get you guys are probably always semi working a year ahead, let's call it, but
mhm.
to the consumer, it's just boom, boom, boom. It just keeps happening.
Yep. Yeah,
So, okay.
and it's
So
because
you're not going to like give us an inkling of potential dates. I mean, I could take a stab at when I think it'll happen, but we just know there's new stuff coming this fall.
Yep, and again, we're usually between the last week of October and the middle of November.
Yeah.
We usually don't narrow those actual dates for a release down until sometime in September. Most of us are out elk hunting. We're like, oh, we should probably get some dates finished. Well, Jeremy's out for this week, and Evan's gone here, and Colby's gone here, and Steve's gone here, and Zach is gone the entire month of September, and Tom's gone on here, and so all those key individuals. we don't want to be in the office in the fall any more than
Them big
anybody
them
else
big
wants to be
bulls
there.
ain't gonna kill themselves. Yeah, you
Right.
guys need to be there.
I got velvet to chase on muleys. I got screamers in the mountains to chase as they're bugling their heads off, and frankly, October is a time I can breathe for just a second, unless
Right.
I start getting cameras lighting up with a random cruiser because I got a cold front coming in, and then I'm calling Jeremy and Camp going, hey, I'm leaving because I got a 190 buck
This
that
is
just showed
happening,
up. I'm
right,
gone.
right, right,
So I
right.
want to kill this guy before he leaves the property and hits my neighbors.
Well,
So
speaking of that, what do you got for this year? I mean, you got any upcoming hunts or anything exciting for fall planned?
I've got a couple stuff. Where am I at? Two or three hunts for sure lined up. I drew my Utah mule deer tag, so
Congrats.
that'll be a go this year. And then with that, I'll pull my general elk tag, so I'll have both of those in my pocket. Um,
Now, is your general elk tag, Evan, is that something relatively easy for you as a resident in Utah? I guess I've never even
Yeah, so the general elk is basically the anyone, resident or non-resident in the state of Utah, that is your last over-the-counter opportunity in the country. So the general season this year runs August 16th through September 12th.
Mhm,
I would say that the unique thing about the general tag, the way Utah does it, is I can hunt any unit in the state if the unit I'm in is a limited entry unit for elk. On my general tag, I can shoot a cow or a spike bull only. I-
interesting.
If I want to shoot a branch antlered bull, I have to then go into a general any elk
A
unit.
true general unit, yeah,
Yes, but like where I drew my deer tag, that is a limited entry elk area. But I can have that general tag in my pocket, and if I'm glassing, I see a herd that's got a spike or cows, I can go in and I can fill that general elk tag on a cow or a spike. Okay, meat in the freezer, that's good. Get back up on the hill and start glassing for muleys. So,
sure, sure.
so we'll have that. My hunting partner and I were still trying to decide if he's going to come out to Utah and hunt the elk with me, or if we look at potentially trying to get something second chance through the drawing in Colorado. Um, After that, I've got a buddy that's got a limited entry tag in one of the top 3 units here for elk in the state.
Oh,
So
right,
I'll be trying to help him. Um, One of our old camera guys that he and I are best friends, he drew his antelope tag on the
nice,
southern unit of where my mule deer tag is at. So we're all going to be very, very close in those general areas. So I'll probably try and help him out a little bit because I've got more knowledge of the area and where his potential buck might be at.
sure,
And then I've got Kansas, and then I'm also looking at potentially getting down and doing a Georgia Alabama combo hunt. So
nice, nice. Well, if you're gonna do Georgia, Alabama, you gotta let us know because we got some pretty good connections down there too.
okay,
We'll hook
perfect.
you up with some of the crew down there. But and lastly, I mean, this is something I almost ask on every podcast that revolves around archery because it's just controversial and I like to know. The age old debate, Evan, of mechanical versus fixed. Go.
Go as in like, what am I shooting today, or what have I historically liked?
What are your thoughts on it?
Um, I think a lot of it comes down to your confidence in the head. Um, and everyone's going to go, well, I'm more confident in, you know, an expandable. Okay, perfect. Shoot an expandable. Because if you don't have confidence in the equipment that you're shooting, you're not going to shoot it well. Um,
100%.
Couple years ago when I was in the shop, I found a broadhead. It was a fixed blade, inch and 3/8 cut that I literally, if I tuned my bow just a skosh knock low, out to 100 yards, I had the same point of impact with my fixed blade as I had with my field points.
That's impressive.
And so for 12-ish years, I ran a fixed blade. And in that time, I only lost 2 animals that I hit. And can't even explain based on the blood and the witnesses I had on 'em, don't know what happened. Um,
Sure.
you know,
It's bow hunting.
yeah,
I mean, it's
it's
yeah.
it's gonna happen. It's not a question of if you lose when it's when it happens.
If you
Um,
have it, you haven't hunted enough. Yeah.
yeah. So, had a lot of luck, had a lot of success with that head, loved it. And I had that sucker flying at 280 feet per second, and I had it flying at 311 feet per second on different setups. So, if you find the right fixed head, absolutely, you can do a lot with it. Um, Anymore, I run expandables because the amount of time and effort that I put into setting up my bow, tuning it, and shooting it, it's like I want every variable off the table because when I execute my shot the way I know I should, that sucker's going to hit behind my pin.
Yeah, it's
Um,
gonna go where you're aiming. Yep.
yep, yep. And I started shooting the hide from Evolution 2 years ago, and in that time frame, I have not done mule deer. So I've done antelope, whitetail, turkey, moose, black bear, and elk in 2 years.
Sure.
Those are the seven different species I've harvested with it, and just one head mechanical, and even even the moose. I shot a 447 grain arrow. My follow up shot was 70 yards. That 2-inch mechanical broadhead with a sub 450 grain arrow blew through him at 70, and we never located the arrow.
She gone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome. We work with Sever in the same I guess realm as you guys, and they just dropped a couple of their new hybrids, and I'm
mhm,
beyond stoked about that 175 and the 2.0 coming forward because
yeah,
I shot my bull in Alaska last year with their 1.5 hybrid, and
mhm,
dude, that bull was alive for 23 seconds. That's it.
yep, yep,
Yeah, so they're
yep.
pretty badass.
Yeah, and the only thing that I've ever had hung up on a smaller cutting diameter mechanical like that is on a two blade cut. If I go in vertically with the grain of the
Yep.
muscle, I've seen a muscle wound close up, and so my blood trail on a potential, you know, bad shot or a deflected shot or something like that. That's my biggest concern. But if you have the 175, if you have a 2-inch option or something like that, that you can do more damage internally
Yeah.
and it flies the same, yep, all day long. Give it to me.
Yeah, now you got the ticket, and that was my exact experience. They threw them little bleeder blades off the sever,
Hmm.
and you wouldn't think looking at it that makes a big difference, but I'm telling you, the holes
Oh, it's
they're
mass.
nasty,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
They're
when you
awesome.
put a 5/8 inch bleeder on anything, like it is insane what happens.
Yeah,
Because whether it's up front or slightly recessed, as that arrow is penetrating, that tip can grab just enough hide that you have a 5/8 inch that's doing an inch and a half cut because of how it's
yep.
grabbing everything. So yeah.
What almost like stretches it as it's cutting it, or how
Yep.
and then to your point, you got the spin of the arrow. I mean, you're doing some massive, massive damage, but
Yep.
speaking of which, when this drops, it should be about the same time that story is published in Eastman. So I don't know if you get Eastman's. If you don't, get to the store and get one because that moose story is going to be in it.
Oh, I'll be looking for that.
Yeah. So
Because
my only claim to fame, I made Eastman's. Oh, too
uh,
funny. But anything else, Evan, you want to leave us or our listeners with? Like I said, I mean, we can't. Uh, like I said, I can't appreciate you guys enough. I know this relationship's early, but we are throttled down and in full support of you. And this fall, I know our team's going to create a bunch of carnage for you guys with some Hoyt bows.
oh, we're definitely looking forward to all the grip and grin success pictures for sure. So we're
Right
gonna be
on.
we're gonna be living vicariously through you guys because we get into that time of year and it's, man, I get a week to go here and a week to go there and pictures pour in all year and we just get a drool over them. So yeah,
Yeah, that's your peak season when we're out playing.
yeah,
So
yeah,
right on. Well, Evan, thanks for the time today, brother. We'll do this again. Good luck to you this fall. And like I said, if there's anything we can do on this end, you just got to holler.
yep, absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Yep.